Welcome back to another podcast. Jake Hamilton.
Hello, hello.
Thanks for being here, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm super stoked to get into this podcast. Okaytats on Instagram. Work right across the street from the studio where we're at right now at Lost Love Tattoo.
Yep.
So yeah, Jake, what's your origin story, man?
I'm not from too far away. I'm from Benton, Illinois. In terms of like just getting into the tattoo industry or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. How your journey from how you got here.
Okay. I started off drawing at a very young age. It's something I was always interested in. And, my grandfather had tattoos. My uncle had tattoos. I always thought that they were like super cool. It's funny because the things I started off drawing as a child, I probably still, most of it was influenced by tattoo art at the time. I didn't even really know that.
So started drawing. When did the tattooing start?
I got my first tattoo at 18 right here in Marion, Illinois. And that was kind of about the time I realized that it was something I was interested in doing as a career. It was a hard industry to get into at the time. I feel like it's probably a little easier these days to get into. This was, I guess, 2008, 2009 era.
What was the biggest challenge getting into that, getting started?
I think, honestly, at the time, it was just being a kid, not being focused. A lot of the, I guess they're old timers nowadays. They're like the people that were in the industry in like the late 90s, were very skeptical of letting new people in. And it was something that, they wanted to protect, and it just was not easy to get into. You had to show up at a shop every day and get tattooed by the people and be able to afford to get tattooed by the people, especially, as a kid, it's hard to do sometimes. Build a relationship with the owner of the shop and, work for free, hang out, answer phones, stuff like that. And as a kid, I just didn't have the drive to do that. I wanted to hang out with my friends, play video games, stuff like that. So it was tough to get into.
But you've come a long way. I want to pull up your Instagram real quick. Maybe we can peek at that.
Yeah, for sure.
Give it a little teaser, and then we can get back into the story. So cool. Awesome stuff here, man. So
thank you.
Okaytats on IG. Yeah, man. Do you want to just like describe, sort of what we're looking at here?
Yeah. So this is mostly everything I put on my Instagram is, it's stuff that I'm excited to do. It's stuff that I'm, stoked to do, essentially. Stuff that I would like to do more of.
Definitely. It's really cool stuff, man.
Thank you.
I really like it.
Definitely not the span of my like portfolio. I go through and kind of get rid of some things that I feel like are maybe a little dated in terms of my style. But yeah, essentially, this is just stuff that, I'm super proud of, was very excited to do, and stuff that I would like to do more of in terms of like style,
Nice. Very cool. So we'll dive more into this as we get along with this podcast, but how would you describe how you got to this like style, this look that you've got going?
Okay. Yeah, I guess, I was like probably the only goth kid in Benton, Illinois at the time when I was, in grade school and stuff like that. Definitely a lot of music influence, skateboarding, like the whole skateboarding lifestyle. I skateboarded for almost 25 years. And graffiti, I don't know, just anything off the wall. I guess different from, I don't know. I do try to be different in some ways, but there's plenty of artists that I'm influenced by, whether it be artists from the 1920s to artists that are still tattooing today. So I wouldn't say anything is fully original by any means, but I do try.
Well, we're all influenced
Yeah.
by someone or something that,
Sure.
we take and just sort of apply what we think is cool like whether it's like your skateboard background, alternative, goth scene, whatever.
Sure.
That all can come out in its, its own unique way. And I think you've done that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Totally. So take me back to, so you were 18. How did you, because you've developed this style, you've got this big following, you work here now at the studio right across the street. Can you tell me a little bit about that process of how you got there to here?
In terms of so I guess, I finally got into a shop, Bomber Crew Tattoo over in Carbondale. I had initially gone about everything all the wrong way. I bought all of my own, tattoo equipment online. I don't even think Amazon was a thing at the time. I don't even know how I was able to order any of the stuff that I did, but I got my hands on some tattoo machines and some disposable stuff, one-time use stuff. Started tattooing in my house that I was living in with one of my good friends at the time. Just tattooing my buddies and stuff like that, which is the absolute wrong way to go about that. So, well, that's what I was doing. And it was cool. We were having a good time. Probably not the most sanitary thing. So I'd moved away for a little while, moved up north, took my shot up there, came back home to go to school, started getting tattooed in Carbondale at Bomber Crew Tattoo. Became really good friends with one of the artists there, Chuck Paparocki, and basically started getting tattooed by him all the time. Kind of like I said earlier, started hanging out at the shop quite a bit. They had hired on another artist at the time, and I kind of missed my shot there. Became really good friends with him. Became friends with the owner, Roger. Spent my time drawing. I didn't really know what I was supposed to be drawing. I didn't know, what people wanted to see in terms of if I was trying to get an apprenticeship at a shop. I was just kind of drawing whatever I wanted to draw. Probably not stuff that really translated into tattoos necessarily. And then with a little help from Chuck and Roger and Ali over there at the Bomber Crew, I kind of started to get a better sense of the traditional tattoo style. And that's kind of really where it all started, I guess, in terms of getting into the industry. One of the guys over there was let go. He called me. He was like, "Hey, dude," he's like, "I'm not at the shop anymore." He's like, if there's ever a chance, now's the time. So I think I went up to the shop that day, started hanging out, answering phones, mopping floors, sweeping, kind of just watching everybody tattoo. And then it kind of just progressed from there.
Was there something like that at that time that you're like, okay, this is the shot, this is what I'm gonna go for it, versus maybe previous times? Was there a catalyst for that, or was it just the right time, right place?
Definitely right time, right place. My daughter had just been born. I kind of had a new sense of responsibility. So it was, I've got to do this right now or it's never going to happen. I was getting older, not old per se, but getting older, running my grandpa's bar, and it just was not clicking, not having a good time with that. And yeah, it just that was really where it all began.
So that's where you got your start.
Yeah.
Nice. And that's so if someone like me, I'm not super familiar with how that, the whole tattoo apprenticeship works. So you get in the shop, you just start being there, working on whatever.
Yeah.
So how do you transition into putting ink in?
Actually tattooing?
Yeah.
So I don't know. An apprenticeship normally runs anywhere from a year to 3 years. It depends on who you're under, I suppose. Basically just, you hang out, you draw, you paint, you watch all the other people in the shop tattoo. And I guess the first kind of rite of passage thing is you normally tattoo yourself. So one of the first tattoos I ever professionally, I guess you'd say, did, other than tattooing my friends, I did on my right thigh. Probably bit off a little more than I could chew on that one. But it is what it is. So you do that, And then you just kind of hope that you have guinea pigs that will come in and be like, hey, I'm doing apprentice tattoos. You basically do them for tips. You don't charge for them. And you do that for a while until whoever you're apprenticing under decides that, you're good enough to start maybe taking some walk-ins and stuff like that. So then you kind of take walk-ins under the disclaimer that, like, hey, I'm still new. If I mess up your tattoo, I'm sorry. And hopefully my boss will fix it for you. That type of thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's you just have to kind of start, right?
Yeah.
And so starting on your right leg, can you talk about that piece at all? That first one?
Yeah. At the time I was mostly drawing, I guess what you'd call like neo-traditional style things. Just a more, modern spin on the old school American traditional style tattoos. It's huge. It's way too big. It probably, I probably should have done something a little smaller. So, I think it was after hours at the shop and it probably took me like 5 hours to outline the thing. We were there forever. And when you're just like sitting there hunched over, looking at your own leg for so long, it really takes it out of you. So we were pretty shot by the end of it. I was pretty shot by the end of it. And then I went back after it had healed and shaded it and colored it in and all that stuff. And it's not the best, but it's there. And it's like, it's a good reminder of, kind of where you come from. And I might go back in and try and fix it one of these days, but I don't plan on doing it anytime soon.
Cool. Yeah. Like you said, that rite of passage sort of thing.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And, that's pretty common, right? For the tattooing, right? You start with yourself, right?
I would say that if you're doing it properly, that's how it would go. Yeah, you do yourself first. It gives you, it gives you a good idea of, just getting a feel for everything. You feel it on both ends. You feel what you're doing with your hands. You feel, the pain that you're getting from that. So like if you're going too hard, you'll know. And it just, it gives you a good idea of how, how hard you can go, how soft you can go. Yeah, I think it's absolutely a necessary thing for someone starting off that you should tattoo yourself.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So start taking apprentice jobs. You start doing walk-ins,
Mm-hmm.
right? What's that next step for you?
Looking back now, if I could have done anything differently in terms of that, I think I would have just stayed doing walk-ins. I think what had happened with me was I started taking appointments, and I kind of felt like at the time that was a necessary thing, or like that's just something that every tattoo artist does. And it varies from area to area, so around here, I feel like we don't have the population and like numbers wise to do walk-ins every day. Like we get calls and stuff for walk-ins every day, but I don't think I would be busy enough just strictly doing walk-ins. So I started taking appointments, got booked up pretty quickly, probably at least having 1 or 2 appointments a day for a couple of weeks, like pretty much right out the gate. So yeah, I just kind of did that for a few years. And just you kind of progressively get busier and busier, I think your work speaks for itself and people see it in word of mouth, and then also the internet too. But, I would still say like word of mouth is probably one of your biggest advertisements as an artist, or just like, people seeing your work on other people.
Yeah, you mentioned that foot traffic or walk-in, right? That's, that is one thing about living in this area. It's like, well, there might not be as high volume of just people, right?
Right.
So, right, that word of mouth or the internet, right? Is that, you said word of mouth is probably the number one way you start taking appointments is just
right.
One person tells someone else, the work speaks for itself.
Right.
Yeah.
I think, the internet, Instagram, for instance, definitely plays a huge part in that. I would say it's, other than our actual physical tools, it's a tattoo artist's number one tool. I mean, Instagram, I don't really mess with Facebook too much, but, a lot of people do. So Facebook, Instagram, not necessarily Twitter. I feel like Snapchat was a huge thing, maybe 5 to 8 years ago. So even, posting my stuff on Snapchat at times. And yeah, the business just kind of continues from there, but I think there's something to be said about like doing a really good tattoo on someone and then them going to hang out with their friends and their friends seeing it in person and be like, whoa, that is so cool. Who did that? And then, them calling or swinging in the shop the next day and being like, hey, I want to get tattooed by that guy. That was, super cool.
Yeah. And it always is going to look different in real life than, versus Instagram.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? How it'll, the whole Instagram versus real life type of thing.
Yeah.
But that's awesome, man. Yeah. So how long before your transition to the shop in Marion, and what was that whole process like?
Well, my wife and I were actually about to move up north. I had gotten an offer at a shop up in Decatur, Illinois, and I think that was like the end of 2019, roughly. So I was at Bomber Crew from 2014 to 2019. Yeah, we were about to move up there, and then COVID happened. That kind of put a stop on everything. The shops had to close, almost every tattoo shop closed down. So I was out of work. My wife was out of work. We were pretty much just hanging out with my daughter at home. And I guess it was more behind the scenes thing. Roger and Corey, the owners of Lost Love, we're talking about, I guess, opening up a second location. And I was in the middle of talking about moving, and I lived here in Marion, and I'd been commuting to Carbondale for, forever, 6 years or so. And yeah, they were just like, hey, we're going to open up a second shop in Marion. And I was like, okay, well, that's like a perfect reason to stay. I'm glad I didn't move, but, yeah, it kind of just went from there, as soon as we opened doors, I think it was in July of, I don't know. Was it 2021 or what year is it? 2022 right
it's
now?
2022. Yeah.
I guess, yeah. So it would have been 2021, I believe. Does
Okay.
that make sense? I don't know.
That sounds right.
I'm terrible with.
I know, man. The whole COVID.
Oh yeah. It's awful,
blur, man. It's.
Yeah. Didn't tattoo for like 4 or 5 months. And then I think went straight back to just working at Lost Love. I'm pretty sure. I have no idea anymore, but anyway, yeah, just, we live just a few blocks away from the shop. So it was like, yeah, perfect. I'll stay. We're not going to move anywhere. And it's been nice to be here on the square. Love this whole neighborhood. It's great.
For anyone listening, can you tell them where it's at? Tell them you said it's on the square.
Yeah. Well, we're at 108 East Main Street. Just on the east side of the square, right next to, the Avenue Barbershop. Yeah, I think, with everything that I've heard about what they're planning to do over the next, 5 years or so with this whole area, I think we got in at a really good time, and we're really excited to kind of see where the neighborhood goes. Kind of back to the walk-in thing, I'm hoping to see a little more foot traffic in this area. I think, bringing in some more smaller business will be really beneficial, just to benefit everyone.
Totally. No, it's exciting, man. There's a ton of construction right now going on. They're bringing several new places, just within the block, really.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. To have a shop open, right. You said you live a few blocks away.
Yeah.
Be able to walk to work,
sure.
Bike to work, run home quick, and the whole neighborhood vibe is what I really like.
Yeah.
I like just walking across, going to the different spots.
Totally.
Yeah, so it's been awesome, man, to see. And you said you guys came in at a great time, sort of that early wave, and it's attracting more, people to come here too.
Sure.
So can you tell me a little more about your process as a tattooer? How does it start? From a sketch or a paint or whatever, and then putting it on the skin, because the skin's its own canvas, right? And like the human is the canvas.
Sure.
So it's very personal.
Mm-hmm.
So can you describe some of that?
I guess there's two different ways that it works. Like I was saying before, like there's the walk-in aspect of it and the appointment aspect of it. So I've been mostly appointment for the last 7 years, I'd say. So I guess the initial thing is, someone comes into the shop, they want to get tattooed. They either bring in like photos of stuff that they like or something along the lines that they want. Or no photos, just an idea, works too. Let's just say, for instance, they want to get tattooed by me. So, I go up, we talk, we kind of do an in-person consultation. And then, we'll set up an appointment. Normally it's about a month or so, month and a half to 2 month wait. I get up at about 7-8 o'clock in the morning and I draw all my appointments for the day. I used to, when I had a little more time, I would spend like weeks and days working on some of these designs, but I guess that's kind of just comes with the experience too. I've been doing it long enough now where it's like I can get up and bust out 3 or 4 drawings for appointments that day, no problem. Technology too has made a huge improvement on that. Almost everything's digital these days. I think, a lot of tattoo artists use iPads, so that something that would normally take me, 5 years ago on a piece of paper, it would take me 4 or 5 hours to draw, I can do in 45 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's changed a lot. But yeah, so I get up, draw in the morning. I don't normally show my clients the drawing beforehand. Gives them way too much time to pick it apart. They'll show it to their friends, and then their friends will pick it apart, and then they'll be like, yeah, I don't really like that. But it seems like when they're in the shop for their appointment in person and I show them the design, it's almost always like, okay, yeah, like this is great, let's do it. I feel like once you're in there, you're ready to get going and you're excited, and it seems to work better that way, as long as like we're both happy with the design. So then, we make a stencil, figure out size and everything, size and placement, and then we just, tattoo it.
Have you had any because obviously tattooing is painful, right? Have you had any clients come in and like freak out, or any like stories where someone couldn't? Oh yeah.
Especially lately, I don't know.
Stand out.
I don't know if there's something in the air right now, but I think
there definitely is.
In the past, I'd say month to 2 months, we've probably had 4 to 6 people pass out, just completely pass out, which does happen.
Oh man.
Yeah, I think it was just Saturday. I had a dude pass out I was sitting in a chair. I think he had 4 or 5 tattoos, but I mean, he was just out cold. He's like, I don't feel very well. I was like, well, don't get up, man. I was like, please don't stand up. I don't want you to fall down. And he was out. I think, yeah, it happens a lot, but most of the time we can kind of get everyone to snap out of that. It's normally because they haven't eaten or something, or they're just like really in their head. But I have had a couple people where like they've passed out, come to you, and they'll have a couple of just like random lines on their arm, and they'll be like, nah, like I can't do this, and get up and be done.
Wow.
So somewhere out there, if you see like a weird tattoo that's like not finished, or you have no idea what's going on, I mean, they probably passed out, but
couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
Couldn't handle the pain.
It does happen. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So a typical day, you're just mostly taking appointments at this right now?
Right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was something I feel like it's funny because I fought so hard to get booked when I first started, and now I'm trying to stray away from that, where it's more of a walk-in based thing. I think everybody prefers something different, but in terms of the way I would operate business, I think doing mostly walk-ins is a little more rewarding for me and a little less stressful. I do travel here and there and work at other shops in more populated areas, St. Louis, Nashville, Chicago, stuff like that, where that's essentially all I do is I'm there to cover for someone, and I just do walk-ins all day long, and it's awesome. I love it. You don't know what's coming in the door that day. Most of the time it's something pretty easy. And it just feels a little more natural, I think. But yeah, if I could, I think, or what I'm trying to do now is move more towards like a walk-in basis. I think it's just a matter of getting that word out there, too. Cause I think a lot of people's perceptions is that we only do appointments, which is definitely not the case.
That's good. It's good to put that out there, man. You know, put out what you want, that will come. So what is the best part? What's your favorite part about doing tattoos?
I don't know. That's a tough one because it differs from day to day. There's some days where I'll enjoy like lining a tattoo more than I do like coloring it or shading it. And then the next day it could be the complete opposite. Definitely the final product. I mean, that's like a given, I think. But yeah, I don't know. I guess just the final product, as long as I didn't mess it up, that's the best part. It's always nice to like have your client happy too, so as long as they're stoked on it, I'm stoked on it. I think that's the most rewarding part of it, Yeah,
getting your work to be a part of someone's identity at that point.
Yeah.
They carry it around with them the rest of their life. That's pretty cool too.
It's pretty wild. And it's something I never thought of up until probably the last year or two, where it's like this person is going to have this for the rest of their life. And, when they're 80 years old and they have grandkids, their grandkids are going to see it and be like, whoa, like that's a super cool tattoo, or maybe they'll hate it. I don't know. But like it's pretty surreal to think that, something I did is going to be around for that long and have a lasting impression on someone.
Yeah. It's a long time, man. And,
yeah.
That sort of like a tribal calling card,
yeah.
Sort of like, this is what I'm about, this is what I'm outwardly expressing to the world. It goes back into style and personality and, how you want to express yourself.
Sure.
So that's pretty cool, man. What is the most challenging part of tattooing?
I guess, I don't know. I think for me, it's trying to not burn out. If I could, I think I would just do stuff that I've designed all day, every day. And I think that would be like I'm not going to get burnt out doing that. I might get burnt out and switch something or change my style a little bit, which is easy to do. But I think, as tattoo artists, we have a lot of expectations to meet. Some of them maybe not like correct expectations, but the question was, what was the hardest part? Is that what it was? Yeah. I don't know. Making your clients happy. And not everyone's that way, but a lot of them are. I feel like, that's definitely got to be it. Just, drawing something, making sure that the client's happy with it, and then entertaining their ideas, because sometimes it's not always something I'm necessarily stoked to be doing. So, yeah.
Yeah, anytime you're dealing with people, that's going to be, a challenge, or, people have their own ideas and
personalities clash.
Right.
Yeah, it happens all the time. So there's that. That's tough. Definitely, I guess if you were to round it all up and put it in a basket, it'd be the social aspect of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like that's common, custom work or whatever, having to Yeah, keep your clients happy, right? And
Yeah,
try to.
and art is so, subjective. I feel like, I don't know, like I don't know, someone would come in and be like, I want a Grim Reaper on my arm, and I'm like, oh man, that sounds awesome, so cool, I'm so stoked to do that tattoo for you. And then we set up an appointment, and then they start sending me the reference photos, and it's just like the ugliest thing I've ever seen. And I'm like, oh man, like, all right, we were not on the same page when it came to like what we were talking about. What I was seeing in my brain was not the same thing that you were seeing in your brain. And yeah, it's tough because everybody, perceives everything so differently. And especially when it comes to art, like, I think, a lot of people's perception of art is it has to be realistic to be good, which for me is not the case. Like, I can appreciate a realism artist, but at the same time, like, my daughter drawing a Ninja Turtle is also great art to me. So, yeah, just the social aspect and people's perceptions of things, and, everybody just being unique and different, I think makes it very tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all subjective too.
Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit more about like tattoo scene in general?
I feel like I'm like so far removed from it now that I don't know that I'm older, but well, I don't know. It spans it spans the entire world. It's, a worldwide phenomenon now. I feel like just as little as 10 to 20 years ago, it was still somewhat frowned upon in like main society. I think it's definitely become a little more normalized, a little more accepted on all sorts of different aspects. Like you see people anywhere you go with face tattoos and hand tattoos and neck tattoos, and I feel like that was, unless you were 15 years ago, unless you were in the tattoo community, like that's something you wouldn't see as often as you do today. So it's definitely spread into society in general. I feel like yeah, I don't know, there's just so many different, there's fine art tattooing, I feel like, and then punk rock tattooing, and there's so many different styles and subgenres, and it's almost like like music, like you change one little thing and it's not what it was before anymore. Like a traditional style tattoo, if you use a color that somebody wouldn't have used back in the 1920s, and it's not a traditional tattoo anymore. It's just all over the place.
All the genres, subgenres.
Yeah.
And right, it's changed over time, and the public reception of that, like you were mentioning. What do you attribute that to? Like the spread of tattoo? I know it's like music, photography, like making it cool, the skate scene. Mm-hmm. Is it all that, social media kind of getting the exposure to people seeing it, getting more used to it?
In terms of it being more accepted these days?
Yeah.
I think the internet has a huge part to play in that. Yeah, I don't know. It was, when I first started getting tattooed, I think MySpace was the only form of like essentially social media. So like, I don't know. It's tough to pinpoint like how it became so accepted in society, and it's still not fully accepted. Like some people frown upon it, but, yeah, I think, someone's mom seeing a really cool butterfly tattoo that they never would have thought of, and they're like, oh, well, that's like, that kind of fits me. I could get something like that, opposed to like, seeing somebody with a big giant skull somewhere and then being like, oh, I'm never going to get a tattoo. That's the only tattoo they'd ever seen before. Now it's everywhere. You can see it on the internet. You can see different styles. I think it just appeals to more people on a broader scale now. Even like, we get some like 80-year-old men and women that come in the shop, never had a tattoo before, and they're like, I'm ready for my first tattoo. And we're like, okay, cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Unexpected.
I think it's, they're probably, I don't know. It's bizarre. It's weird, but yeah, it's just, it's spread like wildfire over the last 10 years. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think most of that attributes to the internet, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting, man. Other than foot traffic, is there something you would like to see that would help you and your business, your artwork?
I don't know. I think that's the biggest thing. I think
just getting more people down here.
Just getting more people to this area.
Yeah.
I don't know. If it were up to me, I'd just be doing walk-ins all day, every day. And we just don't have like the capacity, not the capacity, but the population here, it seems like, or the appeal. And it's hard to transfer from doing appointments for so long to just doing walk-ins, because there is uncertainty there, which I feel like in a bigger city you don't have. Some of the shops I work at outside of here, there's always 5 to 6 people just sitting in the lobby waiting to get tattooed. Whereas here, we get a couple calls a day, but if we don't get those couple calls, then there are no walk-ins. So, we're not making money. I think a big thing would be the public perception. Like I said, that, most shops around here are appointment only, which is not necessarily the case. I'll squeeze somebody in between appointments if I can, that type of thing. But I guess, people calling the shop for a walk-in, it's like, man, just come in, just walk in the shop. You're going to have a much better chance of getting tattooed that day if you literally just walk in the shop. Don't call beforehand, and that's what we'll tell you. Like, yeah, if you want to do a walk-in, just walk in. Like, that's the best chance. And if we can't get you in, then we'll set you up with an appointment, that type of thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what is a flash day?
That is my attempt at trying to get more towards walk-in, like more on a walk-in basis. I haven't really been doing it the last few weeks, because I have been out of town a little bit here and there, and I've been having to move some appointments around, and that has filled up my Saturday. But essentially what I'm trying to do is promote people just coming into the shop and picking something that they see that they think is cool and getting it. I mean, that's a flash tattoo essentially is something, you can do very quickly. Just come in, look through. I've got a, book of line drawings. Like that would be like the ideal day for me. If someone to just come in and be like, hey, I want to look at Jake's stuff, and flip through my book and be like, yeah, let's do this one right here. And then we do it and get you out the door and then on to the next one. So that is the flash day is my attempt at trying to move more towards a walk-in basis.
And that's typically you do on Saturdays?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Like I said, I haven't been doing it in the last few weeks. Life kind of gets in the way sometimes, and you got to do what you got to do. But I think starting here in October, I'm going to be back on that pretty strongly. And hopefully, eventually, my plan is by December to do Fridays and Saturdays.
Cool.
And then appointments Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Nice.
Yeah.
Staying busy, man.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Is there any advice that you would give yourself, your younger self, just getting started, or someone that could be in your shoes?
My younger self, I would tell myself to quit partying so much and focus more on, building a career, but I probably wouldn't listen. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. Like I said, it's tough to get into the industry. I feel like it's definitely eased up a little bit right now. I'm not really sure why. I don't know if it's because there's more demand for tattoos than there, ever really has been. But really, yeah, just, I don't know, do things the right way. Don't order order anything don't order a tattoo machine online and start tattooing your friends. It's just really not the right way to go about it. Yeah, just, find a shop that you like, start getting tattooed there, hang out, become friends. Don't expect anything. That's, I think, was one of my big problems is, I was overconfident as a 20 to 24 year old. And it was like, oh, I can get in the tattoo industry, no problem. And yeah, it's not that easy, but yeah, stay focused, stay humble. That would be like my best advice.
I think it's good advice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I want to look at some more of these specific pieces on your Instagram before we end. And if you could talk about any of these, if there's any ones you want to mention, if there's a story or if there's anything like that you want to talk about. Is there a piece I can look for here?
I don't know. A lot of my own style stuff that they don't really have much of a story.
Okay.
I think that
we could just dive into anything, man.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, if you want to pick one. Let's
see. Mushrooms are cool. I like these rainbows too.
Yeah.
This one's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's yeah, I don't know. I just recently kind of started leaning in towards this style of stuff. I think it has a lot of influence from when I was younger, for sure. Like I said, like smiley faces and 8 balls and like, I don't know, weird, like, I don't know, punk things, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
I'm super into like outer space, extraterrestrial life, stuff like that. So I think a lot of that portal stuff, a lot of it's space influenced. That the woman's head is more of a old school traditional style tattoo. There's a lot going on. It's definitely a mix of a lot of things. There's a Sacred Heart design. That's a pretty classic imagery, even from, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of years ago. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's kind of all over the place.
That's cool, man. I like that.
Trying to make it work, composition is a tough thing when it comes to a tattoo, and having room to do everything that I, want to do, is an issue a lot of the times. A lot of, like, some of the stuff has to be pretty big to be able to fit all of these things in there. But yeah, this is one of my favorite ones, actually. I love this one.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. And how long does something like this take?
It varies. It varies from like position of the body. Some spots are harder to tattoo than others. Fortunately, this one was a thigh piece, I think, so that's normally a pretty easy spot to do. I think we did it in one sitting, I'm pretty sure. It probably took about 4 hours, if I had to guess.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Some days are better than others, I could do the same tattoo twice, one day and same one the next day, and I could do it the first time in an hour, and then the next day it could take me 5 hours if, my equipment's not running properly, or I got to, switch stuff out, or the phone rings too much, or, whatever. So
sure.
It varies.
Yeah. It's cool. That's awesome, man. Let's see if there's something here. Yeah, I like these. This combination here again. These different colors, different concepts going on.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, man. I like this one too. The little space theme here.
Yeah. It's weird because it'll come in waves. Like I'll do, I did this one, and then it was like, I did 20 of them after that, it was like and then it just kind of fades away. I do something else that everybody likes, and then they come and 10 other people come and get something pretty similar, so it definitely has its fads still and its trends, but for the most part, I try to keep it all along the same playing field in terms of design and color and stuff like that.
Yeah, this one's cool, man.
Thanks.
So do you think people see that and they're like, ooh, I want something like that too?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's like I said, I think I did this one, and then pretty quickly after that, I probably did like 4 or 5 that were at least some way inspired by this one,
Well, that's cool, man. That means you're onto something that's connecting.
Yeah.
With people.
Yeah,
audience
totally.
Out there.
Yeah, it works.
Nice. Yeah, man. I love the colors too, man. The color choices are really cool. Just kind of scrolling through here. This one's pretty rad.
Thank you. Yeah, it was the color thing is something I just kind of recently started doing too, where when I was trying to do too much, it seemed like it wasn't working. So I kind of just broke it down to the old like primaries, red, yellow, and blue.
Uh-huh.
And I try not to stray too far away from that.
Sometimes you keep it to the basics, right?
It always seems to work out the best when you just keep it simple, don't overdo it,
Yeah. There's that saying, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, right.
Again, this one's really nice too, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that another one I think we did in one sitting. Thigh piece. Probably one of my favorite spots to tattoo. Fairly even surface, for the most part. And like something like this on the ribs would probably be like a 3-session tattoo. But it's hard to tell size from the photo, but I think that one was a pretty good size, probably like, I don't know, 12 by 12 or something, 12 inches by 12 inches. It's a pretty good size tattoo.
It's real big.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good stuff, man. All this stuff is really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah. Pretty cool. Yeah, man. I mean, we could keep going on and diving into these, but is there a way, obviously you're trying to get more into the walk-in, but how can someone work with you? How can someone get tattooed by you? What's the best way?
Like I said before, just come into the shop. You don't have to call. We're going to tell you to come in anyway. If you call about an appointment, we're just, just swing in the shop. Bring some ideas with you if you have them. If not, that's kind of what we're there for. And we do like a $50 deposit that goes towards the cost of your tattoo. And most of the time, if I'm tattooing, I'll take a break and come up and, we'll just do like a consultation right then and there and get an appointment set up and go from there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice, man. Well, is there anything else? Anything else you want to mention? Anything you want to plug or shout out or anything like that?
We're really excited. We just had Caitlin come on. She's doing like permanent makeup, cosmetic stuff like that, eyebrows, lips, stuff like that. So she just started pretty recently. We're excited about that. So if that's a service you're looking for, come into the shop and we can take care of you there. My wife, Blair, is in the middle of a piercing apprenticeship. So we're going to be offering piercing finally. We probably get like 10 to 15 calls a day for those.
Nice.
So she's going to be starting here pretty soon. So we're excited for that. I think that's it.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Well,
thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, man, I appreciate you coming on.
Totally.
Love getting to talk to you, get to know you a little more. And
absolutely.
Stoked on your work and excited what you guys are doing over at Lost Love. And
cool.
Excited that more things are coming. And
yeah,
just keep doing the things, man.
Sweet.
Okay. Well, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching on YouTube. Subscribe to this podcast. We release a new episode every Friday at noon. Jake Hamilton, thanks so much for being here, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.